Hello, everyone, and welcome to your next episode of What's Your Mess? Mental, Emotional, Social Status of Life. I am your host, Tracey D. Armstrong, and today we have another special guest joining us to share their experiences and how their experiences have shaped their lives. Let me get out the way and let them introduce themselves. Let me not say them. Let me get out the way and let her introduce herself. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, I'm Eboney Hancock. I'm a sales director at Density 6. That's all I want to. That's all I want to say. That's how I want to introduce myself.
No problem. No problem at all. Well, I know you're Ebony. You are a director at Density 6, but I know you haven't always been a director at Density 6. So tell the audience a little bit about some of the mess, M.E.S.S, are situations that you may have gone through in life that you have come out of.
Well, when I was 15, I was diagnosed with lupus, and lupus is autoimmune disease. When you have it, you have it for the rest of your life, or so they say, and it affects your skin. You can get rashes. Thankfully to the Lord, I haven't gotten a rash, but you can get rashes. It affects your joints and affects my joints. Like my hand would be swelling if I was not taking my medicine, not taking care of myself. And it affects your organs, different organisms in your body, like your kidneys. It can affect your heart, your anything in your body. It affected my brain. Hence me having the strokes and their the things that I dealt with for.
Well, what are some of those things that you've done? Because you just said like you were diagnosed with lupus at 15.
Yes.
And so then I heard you say that you've had some strokes
Yes.
and it affects you. You say it affected your brain?
Yes, I have this. It's a cerebral so it affected my brain. I had vasculitis, uh, which affected me cerebrally, and we don't know the cause of it. My doctor just told me one of the ones that I didn't like, but she was like, "Yeah, you have vasculitis." And vasculitis, for people who don't know, is oh my goodness, it's like when your veins, the blood doesn't flow properly. And I don't know, I just had a stroke. I was in college because if you can't tell, I'm 31. But
Wait a minute. Pause. Time out. I gotta talk about that. Are you serious?
I'm 31. I've been on this planet for 31 years.
You look
I'll be,
amazing.
I'll be 32 in 41 days.
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you. But it's like when your blood doesn't flow through your veins properly. And that's why I had the stroke.
So when you were 15 and they diagnosed you with having lupus, how did that affect you mentally? Like that was literally half of your life ago.
Yes.
Mentally, what? And then you said like in college, like and then you went to college and things like that.
Yes. Well, it didn't affect my it didn't affect me mentally. It affected my mom most. And I was just like, well, let's go. When he told me I had this disease, I was like, great, it has a name, because I've been watching television shows and programs where people don't even know what they have. And I was blessed to know that this thing has a name and there's medications that I could take and routes to take care of it. But then I get to college and I'm like, I'm not taking these pills. My friends don't have to take pills. Let me not take them. Not knowing or thinking it would affect me negatively and I'd have a stroke.
So you had the stroke while you were in college.
Yes, in class. I was sitting in class and I was like, oh, I need to use the restroom. But a boy was asking a question, and I was like, oh, I raised my hand after. No sooner than I think that, I urinate on myself. And I'm like, what in the world? So I text my mom. I'm like, I peed on myself. And she's like, what are you pissing on yourself? You're too grown for that. What time you get out of class? And I'm like, in 20 minutes. So that's the last that she knows about it. But the kids at my table, we had these desks with computers. And the kids at my desk were like, no, you don't look right. One kid, Andrew Anderson, I told him I would never forget his name because Andrew Anderson, like, that's, I don't know if it's alliteration or like that's just too close to each other. Always remember his name. But he said, no, I'm going to get the teacher's attention. And then the teacher was like, okay, I'll call the EMTs. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to go back to my room and go to sleep. That was all I wanted to do. And I was frustrated. So now I gotta wait for the EMTs to get there. And then the EMT was like, he's put 2 fingers up and he put 4 fingers up, at least to me. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. And when he put up the 4 fingers and I said 4, he was like, yeah, we think she's having a stroke. And I was like, a stroke? I'm 21 years old. Like, and I didn't think a 21-year-old could be having a stroke because older people have strokes. So they took me to the hospital and it turns out I was in fact having a stroke. They TPA'd me that time. And so I guess it didn't affect me mentally that much. It didn't affect my brain that much because TPA, when they TPA you, it like reverses or pauses the effects.
Okay. So you're in class.
Yeah.
You have a stroke in class at the age of 21.
Well, I don't
And
even know if it was in class because I was walking to class and I was like, why is my walking? Why can't I walk in a straight line? I was veering literally like to the left and right. And I was like, why can't I walk? But just brushing off because I'm a kid and I'm just, let me go to Chick-fil-A, get something to eat. And maybe that'll make me feel better and I can go on with my day. But it all, like, when you know the symptoms of a stroke, it all makes sense. But I had no idea what I was going on. Like I said to my dad, I was like, I've been kind of walking weird. And he was like, maybe you got vertigo.
vertigo. Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing that he thinks, because no one's thinking you're gonna have a stroke.
Right. So emotionally, I'm just thinking, I'm like, at 21, how did that affect you emotionally, knowing that you had just had a stroke?
Well, now that you're coming into where it affects me, because that stroke didn't really affect me. The first stroke, my mom was like, "You're not going back to Florida State," and I was so upset. I was like, "How could you not let me go back to school?" I cried and cried and cried. She let me go back. Then I flunked out, had to come home, and I have another stroke, and that one affected me mentally and emotionally because my mom was just like, I'm sick of you having all these strokes. You're killing us. If you have another stroke, we're gonna put you in a home. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm only 22. What in the world? Like, you're gonna put me away in a home? And that really affected me.
So at 22, you had another. So, okay, let me go back. Had you started take? Because I know you said you were taking your medicine. You went to college. You were like, I'm not taking this medicine. And then
Well, it
you
didn't
had
happen
the
right
stroke.
away. It was like, because I was still taking my medicine, still taking my pills like I was supposed to. But it was like I got 21 and I got too big for my britches and was like, these pills aren't even doing anything. Like, let me just not take them, not knowing that these pills are saving my freaking life and I need to be taking them. The pills got bigger. I had switched from Plaquenil to mycophenolate, which is a purple pill that significant size. And I just got tired of swallowing it. I was having migraines too, and I couldn't figure out why. But that was another probably pre-symptom of the stroke. And so when I started taking my medicine after the first three strokes, um, I came home and I was taking my medicine like I should have been. And I was like, well, I'm fine. As long as I don't have a headache, I can not take it, and um I'll be fine. If I feel like I'm getting a headache, I'll take my Peppermint. Well, that was a stupid mistake too, and I should have been taking all my pills so that I don't have a stroke. So,
So okay, go ahead.
so I just learned, like, take your medication all the time, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you feel like it or you feel like it's not working, because it is working. Like, I don't know what my organs look like inside. I don't know what's going on. So
So I wanted to ask you then this. So okay. So emotionally, I could imagine. I can't imagine you. Like she said, I'm gonna put you in a home, and emotionally, you're like, I'm only 22. I have a whole life to live. Like you
yeah.
putting me in a home, what? And you were at Florida State, and then you were like, okay. So at 22, you had another stroke, and then I heard you say you had three strokes. Did you have three strokes like within that same time frame?
Well, the first time I had was my first stroke, it was technically my third, because they could see in my brain where I've had two prior little strokes, but I didn't recognize it. And like I recall eating, and my mom was like, "Stop holding your mouth like that. You look like you had a stroke." And I was just like, "I'm only 21, not thinking." So who knows when I even had the first two?
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. So I gotta ask socially. So I'm thinking about you're having lupus at 15, but you're taking your medicine really, and so you're socially still doing everything, being a teenager. You
Yeah.
get to college, you're taking your pills, your medicine, you're still doing college stuff. Then you stop, you start having strokes. How does that
Yeah.
affect you
Well, the
socially?
first point when I stopped taking my pills, my medication, I remember when I was having the migraines, and I was just like, I just want to take Tylenol. Like, I'm not worried about these little lupus pills. I need to take Tylenol, and hopefully that'll help me. Which it didn't. Tylenol wasn't working, and it was these, oh my god, mind splitting headaches. I don't even know how to put it on a scale, but like if it was a scale of 1 to 10, it would be a 20. These were painful headaches, like lights and everything needed to be off. Sounds, I couldn't hear anything. I started having delusions. It was crazy.
Wow. So with that, socially, how are you managing being social if you're having headaches and need no light? Like what happened there?
Well, I mean, this was my senior year, and my friend graduated early, and my other friend was working and doing her own thing, so we couldn't see each other that often. So I was pretty much at college by myself, really. And so I guess, I mean, I went to the gym one time by myself, but I didn't have a friend or a confidant to be like, hey, I'm not feeling well, XYZ. I didn't have that.
And so as far as your status of life and living, did do you think that the strokes affected your status of life? Or do you think it was the lupus? Or you think it was a combination?
Probably a combination, because it's ironic how I couldn't find a job. I had to work study, and and I stayed the first semester at home. The first semester of that year, I did it from home. And then I went to school and I asked the lady, I was like, oh, can I find a job even though I haven't, done it, registered for it for whatever work study prior semester. And she's like, oh yeah, you can find a job. Get to campus and there's no jobs. And I was like, crap. And so I'm having this money in my account that can't even be dispersed to me because I haven't worked for it. So that money just went away. And then I mean, I live with my mom now, so I'm not doing the best, but I'm not doing the worst either.
Right. And so with all of this, like with everything that you're saying, like I know that you have other, situations and things like that that have happened throughout from college to now. How did you come out of it? How did you get through? How did you make it?
Well, it's really, I gotta give all the credit to my mom because when she said she was gonna put you in a home, that kind of it was a wake up call that I needed. And her, my brother, just being home with me, making me meals. My brother's like he's a chef, not a chef, but he I was telling Miss Grace last night, he can cook anything you want. And he's made the best meals. I don't know, just the him being here and my mom being here, just the home environment, it kind of helped me. Walking was a struggle in itself after my last stroke. I had to learn to walk and talk again because um like I wasn't enunciating and I wasn't speaking loudly. I hope I am on this call, but I wasn't speaking loudly and enunciating. I was like, is something wrong with my ears? I feel like I'm sounding louder than what I actually am. And I asked my mom, like, oh, what are we gonna have for dinner tonight? And she'll be like, up, 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 up. And I'll enunciate louder so that she can hear me. But that has been a struggle, and I had to learn to walk again. I just had to learn to do everything again. I had an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, and a speech therapist.
So you had to put in the time and the effort with all those different ones in
Yeah.
order to get back.
Well, yeah. They told me I was 22 at the time. They told me that it's possible to get everything back, and that someone sees me, they're not gonna know I have a stroke unless I tell them. And so it took me working. I still don't feel like I'm the best with walking. My mom says I teeter totter sometimes. I don't know if you know what that means, but
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you're teeter tottering or whatever. But that was the hardest thing. They were like, when I would sit down, I didn't sit down right. They were like, oh, it's gonna be a problem for you when you get older. And I was just like, I'm just getting down like it's a poof that I would leave too much of a poof. And they're like, no, bend your knees, squat. And so my mom had me working doing squats in this room. It was just a lot. And they gave me a walker, and I was like, I'm not walking around with this walker. I'm 22. What 22-year-old, walk with a walker? So that was really, with my pride. It was like, oh, I'm not gonna use this walker. So I think I used it for a week, and then it went under my bed. That pride, I don't know. That pride will make you do stuff you never thought.
Right. It was your motivation. It was
Yes.
like, okay, I'm not going to a home at 22. I'm not going to be on a walker. I'm about to do this and get everything back. So I want to ask you that, like, if there's someone that's out there that's listening in the audience, and let's say they have lupus or they've experienced strokes, I just want to say, too, if it's a young person, because 21, 22, that's young. If it's a young person listening that's experiencing health challenges, What type of advice would you give to anyone that's in that situation now?
Well, take your medicine, take your pills all the time. Like, that's not even up for debate. I was talking to Tanya and I was like, why weren't you taking your medicine? And she didn't have a valid excuse. And I was just like, do you want to be dead? Do you want to die? Is that's as serious as these pills are. They're literally saving your life. These little lupus pills, however long, I don't know what the life expectancy is of someone with lupus, but they're, getting you to that. If you don't take your pills, you could be dead now. So take your medicine, please, because you don't want to end up like me. And it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right. And you think that that was the ultimate cause that led to the stroke?
Well, my mom does, and she's like, "Did you take the medicine today?" Like that. So
Okay, okay. Because I know I do hear a lot of people who say they don't take their medicine. So let me ask you this. Was there any particular reason why you at that time did not take your medicine?
well, my friends don't have to take pills, so why do I have to take pills? That was my reasoning.
Okay. I was gonna say, because you know how some people will say, "Oh, well, when I take this medicine, it makes me feel like this," or "I'm
It didn't
not
make me
feeling."
feel like anything. The pills were just big, and both, like I told you, I I went from like a little itty bitty pill less than the size of Tylenol to this big fat pill, and I just didn't feel like taking them. And I had those migraine headaches. And what's the first thing that I take? Tylenol when I get back to my room. Why I'm not gonna mess with my medicines, not knowing that this was all a weird plan. I think God
Hmm.
had this plan like before I was even born.
Yeah.
She cried when she found out I had lupus, and I was just like, "Let's go. We know what it is. Let's go." And he wrote me out prescriptions, doctor that I do not like. He wrote me out the prescriptions, and my mom was just in tears, and I was like, "It's fine. We know what it is. At least it has a name." And she
Hmm.
told me, she was like, "I'm so proud of you the way you're carrying this lupus at the time."
And that's what I was gonna say. It sounds like your mindset when you first found out, you said that you were like, okay, now it has a name. Now we
Yes,
know what it is. Now we can do something about it.
yes. It was like when you don't know what something is, and I had my joints have been swelling up. My mom been using icy hot and getaways to try to heal me, and we were putting ice on my foot, and it was just not working. I walked, and my mom would think it was my shoes. She had me in these bulky shoes, and it was not cute or fun. So I'm like, why can't I wear my cute little flats to school? No, that's probably why your foot hurt. Oh my gosh.
Oh, but that makes sense though. That makes sense
Yes.
because then once you, because a lot of people don't like to go to the doctor. A lot of people don't like to take medicine. But what you said is, once y'all got it diagnosed and you were able to identify all those other things that you was trying to figure out why, now you could say, "Hey, this is what it is. Let's attack it. Let's do what we got to do." That was a great mindset at such a young age.
Well, I just had it like, let's go. We can know. I hopped off of the doctor's table and was like, okay, let's go. And my mom still had follow up questions because the doctor, she was like, well, what does she do if she isn't feeling well? And he told her for me to just take ibuprofen, which was not the case. And when we found out, when I switched doctors, because my mom was not happy with him, he had a horrible bedside manner. He had his hand on the door when we were still trying to talk to him. So we went to my favorite doctor, Dr. Ahmed, which if you're watching this, Dr. Ahmed, I miss you. But he was the best doctor. He was just like, no, you don't need to be on 5 milligrams of prednisone. You need to be on a higher dosage to, pretty much slap Lupus in the face and be like, no, you're not bothering her. And then you wean yourself off of it. And my mom and me were like, wow, this is. And he had me go to the doctor, no, to the hospital, and they had me on the bag of prednisone. So like this long bag, this IV bag, and it's going into my vein. And like my grandma came to see me, and she was like, "Look at her walk. It affected everything." And they were like, "Look, she's walking back to where she was normally walking before," and it just affected me positively. And my mom was just like, "Yeah, you do not need to see that other doctor. We're sticking with Dr. Ahmed."
Okay.
But
Now,
I was taking my medicine like I should have been while I was with Dr. Ahmed. So my insurance.
that's probably a whole nother.
Yes, that's probably a whole nother thing. I only left him because my mom was like, he aged after Dr. Ahmed, blah, blah, blah. And then we went to the doctor I didn't like. And she was like, oh, how long have you been on this medication? And I was like, 8 years at the time. And she was like, oh, you need to come off of this. And this was like, oh, we're going to change you to some medicine that'll, I don't know, work better. And she changed me to mycophenolate, and that big behind pill. I wish you could see the pill. Like, you gave me like 5 seconds, I can go get one. But
It's probably one of those big horse. We call them the horse pills.
well, no, it's not that big, but it is a thick pill, and in comparison to Paconil, it's a big pill. But yeah, I didn't like her. I didn't like medicine. And she probably affected me taking my medicine because I was like, I don't like you. I'm not going to take it. I mean, it's me that it would give me strokes.
That makes sense, though.
Yes,
That
you
makes sense.
learn though.
You're like, I don't like you. I don't like these pills. So, as we get ready to wrap, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say, I know, like you said, take your medicine. If there's anyone out there that wants to connect with you or learn more about you or lupus or anything like that, how can they connect with you? And do you have anything that's coming up or coming out that you'd like to let the audience know about?
Oh, well, I have a book coming out, Diary of a Loopy. Will I be talking about my strokes and situations in depth? Um, and they can follow me at EB_0712. EB_0712 on Instagram.
Okay, awesome. And I will make sure that I put that information, y'all, at the end of the video. So make sure you keep watching all the way to the end so you can get more of Ebony's information and you can follow her. And don't forget when her book comes out, you can support her. And what's the name of the book one more time?
Diary of a Loopy.
Diary of a Loopy. Okay, that sounds very interesting. Now, as we begin to wrap up, are there any last words of encouragement that you'd like to leave with the audience?
Well, I met some girl recently who's in her 20s. She wasn't 21, but she wasn't 30. And she had a stroke. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, was it from not taking medicine? She said no. So, I mean, strokes can happen to anybody, any age. And I don't know if it was her diet, maybe, but she was like, she had a stroke. I think she's 25. Yes, I think she's 25, but she just had a stroke, and I was telling her just a little bit what I went through at 21, just to help her a little bit. There's so much you go through when you have a stroke, when you literally have a stroke, and afterwards to get you to be the person you were prior. I'll just say that. Um, so anybody watching, like, make sure you, if you take medicine, take it. But if you don't, just try to be healthy. Eat what you eat. Pay attention to what you drink. That's the main thing.
Okay. And I received that because I did hear someone say the other day, like everything that you eat is either fighting or feeding your future. And so I'm just gonna I'm gonna end with that. I'm gonna end on your notes. Be healthy, eat what you're gonna eat, but remember it will affect you one way or the other. If you're gonna take your medicine, remember, take your medicine the way you're supposed to take it. It will affect
Yes,
you one way
that's
or
not
the other.
debatable. Take them pills. If I could say that, if I wish I could have it on a shirt. Take your pills. Just like you, whatever pills means to you. If it means lupus medication, diabetes, whatever you need to take them. My mom just takes vitamins, and I'm just be like, dang, I wish I was her, but God gave me
Take your vitamins. If you
this.
have vitamins every day, take your vitamins to keep you healthy.
But
Very
God
good.
did this because he knew I could carry it.
And you carrying a message, and this message is going to help someone out there that's listening. And so, as I wrap up another episode of What's Your Mess, I want to first thank Miss Ebony. Thank you, Ebony, for
You're
coming
welcome.
on and sharing your story. I appreciate you. And I'm going to leave you with a powerful quote to carry with you as you journey through your day. If you want to be sad, keep thinking about the past. If you want to be anxious or worried, keep thinking about the future. But if you want to be happy, focus on the present day and be grateful for what you have. This is Tracey D. Armstrong with What's Your Mess. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.